Well, it's Tuesday, January 27th. Can you believe January is almost over? It seemed like we just had Christmas. You are a steward. A steward. What is a steward? A steward is someone who takes care of somebody else's property. 1 Chronicles 29:14 says, and David is speaking here, King David. He says, "But who am I and who are my people, that we should be able to give as generously as this? Everything comes from you," talking to God. Everything comes from you, God, and we have given you only what comes from your hand. King David wanted to build a temple for God. So he told God that. God said, "No, it will not be you. You are a warrior. You have blood on your hands. It will be your son, Solomon." So David then provided the materials and the money to build the temple, and he encouraged the officials and other people to give as well, so that Solomon could build a temple for the Lord. In this verse, David tells us two things about giving. One is that giving brings joy. Giving brings joy. David is thanking God for the privilege of giving. Think of the times when you've been able to give and help somebody with something. Doesn't that give you a sense of peace, a sense of joy? So giving gives us joy, and then everything we have comes from God. What do we have that God did not provide for us or enable us to have? Nothing. Nothing. Everything comes from God. And so here I am giving to somebody something that God has provided for me. I really can't take too much credit for that, can I? James 1:17 tells us that every good and perfect gift comes down from the Lord above. So how can we be good stewards of what God has given us? Well, first of all, use your God-given abilities. God has given you abilities to do something. Do it. Use those. David wanted to build the temple. God said, "No, you're a warrior. You're not a builder. I want your son to build the temple." There are things that we want to do that we can't, or that we don't have the ability. Take singing, for instance. Oh, man, there are times I would just love just to sing. And so far, I've not found anybody that likes my singing. But there's other people that have beautiful voices. They have a way of putting those words to music, and it's beautiful. It's a message. It's great. People love hearing it. Maybe God has given you ability to sing. Maybe He hasn't. If He hasn't, He's given you something else. Use your abilities, your gifts that God has given you, to serve Him. And then we're good stewards in that we're using what we have. If we have the ability to do something and we don't do it, we're not being very good stewards of what we have. And then look at the opportunities that come. Look at the opportunities that make themselves available to you. Maybe you can do something about it, maybe you can't. But being a good steward sees the opportunity. Yes, I can do that, and so they do it. Sometimes they see an opportunity and say, "No, I can't do that." Sometimes it's giving, and somebody has a need and they've got a huge medical bill. Boy, you want to give and help them, but you can't. You don't have that much money. Okay, then it's not for you. Maybe you help some other way. Take a look, see the need, see what you're able to do what you can, but don't worry about if you can't. So use your God-given abilities, serve others, and then be prepared to sacrifice. Jesus was our example. He sacrificed his life. He came from heaven to earth. That was a sacrifice enough. But then He died on the cross here, a terrible death for us. He was the only one that could do that. He was not the only one who could die, but He was the only one that could be that sacrifice to satisfy our sin situation. He's the only one that could do that. Nobody else could. Other people could die on the cross, but Jesus was the only one who could do that. God is calling you to do some things. Don't try to do what you cannot do or shouldn't do. Just do what you're supposed to. Sometimes we take a little too much pride and too much credit. There was a man who, his son drove in from out of town and asked his dad to take him to the airport. So his son drove to the dad's house, parked his car. The dad drove the son to the airport. Son's going to be gone for about a week. So while son was gone, the dad got the car out and drove it around just to make sure it kept it running, and it was running well. And as he was driving, he thought, my wife and I gave him this car. And then he started feeling pretty good about himself. That's really nice of us to give him that car. And then he thought a little bit more, and he remembered that car was given to him by some relatives, an aunt and uncle, who got up in age and couldn't drive anymore. So they gave him and his wife that car, which they in turn eventually end up giving to their son. And he said, he realized that he really doesn't have anything to offer anybody that doesn't come from somebody else, from God. Everything we have to offer somebody else comes from God. So it's not like we're giving up something. No, we're a steward. We manage what belongs to somebody else. Our bodies, our abilities, our skills, our money, everything. We are a steward of what God has given us. So I guess the question is, are we good stewards or not? It's easy to be very selfish and tight-fisted when we think it belongs to us. It really doesn't. Is there any area in your life you need to be a better steward? I know there are in my life. Have a good day.